Welcome to CC Gurukul lecture. In continuation with the series on Indian sociological tradition, I am going to continue with one of the most important sociological theorists or founder of sociology, that is Professor G.S. Ghurye. In the previous lecture, first lecture, I talked about the biography and work of G.S. Ghurye. In the second lecture, I looked at the very important issue of caste and race in India and some of his critical work. In today's lecture, I am going to talk about how Ghurye contributed to making sociology a institutionalized and a professional discipline in India. And in the second half of the lecture, I'll be talking about the contribution of Ghurye in the understanding of Indian society while looking at his contribution to civilization, culture, the understanding of caste and tribe continuum, and so on. So, let us start understanding what Ghurye contributed in the making of sociology, especially in India. So, we know that he is kind of one of the founding figures in Indian sociology, and according to Srinivas, he laid the foundation of anthropology and sociology in India by encouraging his students to study every aspect and section of Indian society and culture. It's very important to bring in here that at a time when sociology was being founded or was kind of institutionalized, the distinction between sociology and anthropology was not very easy in the context of India, because in the Western context, anthropology was conceptualized as studying the other society and sociology as studying their own society. But here Srinivas also kind of tells that we need to study our own society, and the study of one's own society could also in term of being self in the other. So that is how Professor Ghurye kind of encouraged all his students to become engaged in the study of different dimension of society in India. So it was primarily through the research and guidance of Professor Ghurye that the brand, or rather we would say that sociology as a discipline kind of got institutionalized in India. To recall, I have already kind of mentioned that the Department of Sociology was first kind of institutionalized in Bombay University under the guidance of G.S. Ghurye. And he kind of, when we look into all his work, whether we look into caste and race or we look into cities and culture and civilization, and the number of 31 books that he has authored, it becomes very clear that he was kind of giving us that the discipline of sociology has a wide horizon. It could kind of encompass a wide subject of study ranging from customs to even the issue of politics, national identity, the nature of Indian society, and so on and so forth. And it was very critical that at the time in which he was establishing or institutionalizing the discipline, because much of the study of India as an object of study was coming in from the Western perspective. Therefore, there was a requirement or a need for the Indian sociologists themselves to kind of understand what India was and what was the kind of objectification that India had been subject to. So, when we look into the way in which this Department of Sociology at Bombay University kind of came up or laid the foundation, it's very important to look at the contribution of G.S. Ghurye. So, in the Department of Sociology at Bombay University, there were only two teachers, Ghurye and Thuti, that added consistency to the course. It reflected in the syllabus, which was revised only twice during Ghurye's tenure as a head. And it is also to kind of mention that prior to Ghurye, the department was not a separate, it was a kind of combined with the economic department, and it was only the effort of Ghurye that it was kind of institutionalized. So, the first traceable syllabus of this Bombay University was one that was designed by Gates in 1923, and the same syllabus was continued till 1945. Though Ghurye introduced several papers, and most of the papers that he introduced was Culture and Civilization, social biology, social psychology, comparative social institution, and Indian sociology. So when we look into his idea of introducing this new papers, it kind of reflects that he was interested in a broader dimension of bringing in psychology, bringing in an interrelated understanding of institutions and society in India. The syllabus kind of was in a way critically looked at by many others who were kind of raising an objection that the syllabus, when we look into it, had a kind of a dominance of institutions. Like there was a lot of study on kinship, family, caste, culture and civilization. But this in no way should demean the contribution of Ghurye, because even the way in which the Orientalist or the Western scholars were studying Indian society were basically to kind of come up with an argument that Indian society has three main institutions, that is kinship, village and family. So if he kind of was focusing on the study, it could have actually led to a kind of a development of an alternate perspective to what we had already got from the Western scholars. So we know that he was not only very theoretical, he was kind of also an empirist, though he was kind of influenced a lot by diffusionist and evolutionary perspective, but at the same time he was not an armchair anthropology. He kind of supported a lot of research work among the students, and he kind of incorporated a lot of contemporary debates and alternate theoretical perspective, which he kind of continued to teach till the kind of end of his retirement. So much of the syllabus had readings from anthropology, suggesting that Ghurye rejected the distinction between sociology and anthropology. As I've already said, that this distinction between sociology and anthropology, when it kind of gets into the study of Indian society, the distinction is very blurred, and there is no clear-cut line that we can draw between the two disciplines. And this is very much evident in which the work of Ghurye and his students been conducted during that time. He also rejected the view that anthropologists study tribes and sociology studied the civilized people. So this is another kind of distinction. One is the distinction between sociology studying their own society and anthropologists studying the other society. Now at this time there was also a kind of a way in which a hierarchy or a ranking was being done in terms of civilized, the West, the modern society were kind of more complex or more developed, and in the sense it could be the task of sociologists to understand them, whereas anthropologists would have to go among the less civilized, those who were less developed to other society and study them. But in India, this distinction even cannot kind of be applicable when we look into the work in terms of his considering the caste and tribe as on a continuum. So this is kind of, he also will look into, when we look into his work on caste and tribe, that he rejected the caste and tribe divide and considered them as to be researched in terms of there is a continuity from the caste to the tribe. Now next we'll look into his research program. So the colonial state's original notion that School of Economics and Sociology at the university would carry out the useful and social economic survey was implemented only by economics department than by sociologists. Here is again an important contribution which comes in terms of the methodology. So there was again a kind of an assumption that sociologists would be doing the study of Indian society would be in terms of survey, large scale survey, whereas exactly what the sociologists were doing field based work. They were basically doing ethnographic work. So the idea of survey and kind of dependent on quantitative data was something which kind of was only to be figured out in the Department of Economics. So the only government funded project was done during Ghurye time on Mahadev Kohlis. Even these funded projects though were kind of envisaged to kind of be very quantitative and be based on survey method, but yet when the research was being carried, it was an empirical study of the tribes. So we can actually kind of divide the two most important research area of G.S. Ghurye, and that is cultural diversity, and the second is social institution. So he was kind of also having a nationalist perspective in terms of kind of advocating or kind of promoting, appreciating the diversity that was part of Indian culture. And the second area where he kind of focused a lot was the study of family, marriage, caste system, and these institution kind of was considered as giving us a real picture of what Indian society was. So we also, when we look into his contribution in terms of his research, it's very important to draw attention to the success that or the story successful sociologists that Ghurye has produced, and we see a number of sociologists were the students of Ghurye. The most prominent of the Ghurye student is obviously M.N. Srinivas, who is another important, very important sociologist in the in Indian society. And M.N. Srinivas was assistant of Ghurye from 1942 to 1944. And when we look into the student supervisor relation, it kind of is documented in large of Ghurye's life and his biography that he was a strict supervisor. He made a student do extensive field work and also gave long dictation to them every day. So Srinivas in the initial days felt very overburdened, and when he asked for extension of time for his research, he was relieved of his position. So that is the kind of rigorous training that Ghurye was used to giving the student in terms of making them do regular work, very hard work, and in case the students were not kind of ready for it, it could be kind of problematic. The next student of Professor G.S. Ghurye is I.P. Desai, again another name in Indian sociology. So I.P. Desai replaced Srinivas and was sent to Bihar and Orissa to collect data. Srinivas had a troubled relationship with Ghurye and had converted his historical method to structural functional under the influence of Ratcliffe Brown at Oxford. So Srinivas, though being a student of Ghurye, questioned the methodology that Ghurye had followed, and when he went on to do his doctoral work at Oxford, he was under the influence of Ratcliffe Brown, an anthropologist who kind of gave us the functional, structural functional approach in anthropology. So when we look into M.N. Srinivas' work, it will be very clear that M.N. Srinivas was also giving us a functional understanding of Indian society. So here if we look into it, we have all the students of the prominent students, and we see each of them have contributed significantly in the professionalization and institutionalization of sociology in India. So first of them, as I already said, is Professor M.N. Srinivas. Then we have I.P. Desai, we have A.R. Desai, and then we have Iravati Karve and K.M. Kapadia. These are only the most prominent figures that we as students of sociology have read their book and know that they have contributed. There are other also prominently equal sociologists who had been a student of G.S. Ghurye. So when we look into each of this, and we'll see that each of them kind of laid a role in institutionalizing the Department of Sociology in different parts of the country. So this led to institutionalization of sociology according to methods of Ghurye in terms of centralizing it around study of culture, civilization and social institutions. So all his students, when we look into Iravati Karve, he was studying family and marriage. Look into M.N. Srinivas, he studied the religion and society among the Kurks of Mysore. So each of them were kind of giving us a new dimension to the understanding of society in India. Several of his students later on went on to establish departments of sociology in different universities. Srinivas led the foundation of Baroda University and the Department of Sociology at University of Delhi. Karve headed the Department of Anthropology at Deccan College, Pune University, and later A.R. Desai and Kapadia took over the department at Bombay University. So that is kind of the role of the almost kind of the main figure who kind of set off the trend of institutionalizing sociology in India, and it was successfully taken up by all his students. At one time, almost every sociology department in the country was headed by student of Ghurye. Thus, his disciples were instrumental in shaping and consolidating the discipline in the 90s, 60s and 70s. Now, when we look into his, we've looked into his research work, we've looked into the students who equally played important part in institutionalizing the discipline. It's very important to look into his ideas or his notions on politics and institution building. And we know that when Ghurye set up the Bombay University, it kind of was the center of sociology for many years, until and unless most of his students kind of completed their doctoral work and then set up to initiate departments at the various parts. The Bombay University kind of was the foundation of in engaging in lot of work on the society in India. So his politics and personal conflict with the universities throws light on the ways in which the discipline got shaped by its institutional framework. So there is a lot of politics in the initial day in any kind of an institution, but Ghurye always kind of contested these politics, and he kind of paved the way for establishing the Department of Sociology. In the early days of the establishment of sociology, it remained combined with economic and was not liked much by Ghurye. So, as I have already said, then initially there was no the departments were not separate. It was sociology was considered as part of the Department of Economy, which was something which was not appreciated by Ghurye, and he really worked hard to kind of separate the two and start off a separate department of sociology. So, from the start of his career, he was involved in fractional politics. The administrative affair of the joint Department of Economics and Sociology was looked after Professor of Economic, and he was a senior with a foreign degree. Ghurye colleague Thuti always stood as his rival and created problems for Ghurye throughout his tenure. So, when we look into his kind of reflection on his career and the initial day in the Bombay University, we know that it was not easy to kind of initiate this task of setting up the discipline, and there was a constant conflict and contestation with his colleagues and administrative staff at the Bombay University. The factional politics sharpened when Vakil at the Department of Economics was made professor much before Ghurye and became the head of the school. In 1930, after the new University Act came into force and teachers were reappointed, Ghurye was reappointed only as a reader, and Vakil, who as a professor, took over the affairs of the department. So, this is also a kind of the politics at the level of administration which goes on. But kind of there is a hidden reality behind it, but in these negotiation, in these contestation emerges the strong interest or strong zeal to start off what is considered to be correct. Soon, due to patronage of Professor Vakil, the Department of Economics expanded rapidly than sociology in terms of teaching and funding. Internal politics delayed Ghurye from appointed as professor in 1934. Soon he felt the sociology department was getting overshadowed and therefore suggested the split of the school. So, once Professor Vakil, who was from the Department of Economics, was kind of giving patronage to his own discipline, and there was a neglect of the Department of Sociology, was something which was not appreciated or was not kind of supported by Professor Ghurye, and he kind of was of opinion that the two departments should kind of split. And he was successful in doing this despite the hurdles and despite the kind of restraint that he had to face, but he was successful in creating the two department as separate department. And there was a lot of imbalance between economics and sociology, also in terms of methodology, and also in terms of there was a kind of a hierarchy in terms of economics doing more research, getting more funding, and kind of considered to be more superior to sociology. So, these internal politics kind of started creating rift in academics, and this kind of got even more strengthened after the plan development project led by the people in administration post independent India. So the disparity between economics and sociology got exaggerated in the 1950s and 1960s with the advent of foreign aid, along with the torrential flow of Ford Foundation American experts into India. So this is also a time when we see that when the independence, post-independent period, and the Jawaharlal Nehru's task of industrialization, scientific growth, and etc. was in place, there was a lot of scope for India as an object of study. So there was a lot of foreign funding which was coming into India in terms of studying the various social institutions, various aspects of Indian society. And since economic was kind of considered to be doing a lot of quantitative survey based data, it was kind of getting successful in getting these research and work. However, sociology was kind of left behind. After then, Ghurye was not kind of interested in running after foreign fundings and getting government project. He rather kind of did his own work with the help through his students. He kind of engaged them in more of empirical field work, and that is what kind of led to the creation of a unique or a kind of a separate identity of the discipline of sociologist. He published widely, and he kind of asked all his students to publish, because once the publications kinds of reaches the common people or reaches student, then people become aware of the significance of research work, and through the research work it could kind of reflect a lot in terms of the contribution that the Department of Sociology was doing. So in 1944 he suggested to the university authorities to bring out a sociological series in view of the larger number of theses being produced in the department. So because he was not kind of taken away by research projects and government and foreign funding, he concentrated more in the on the research in his own department. He asked students to do a lot of field based work, publish a lot. So a lot of high quality thesis, doctoral thesis were submitted in the department, Bombay Department of Sociology. And therefore he was kind of interested in initiating publication of the Department of Sociology. So two series, one in each in sociology and economics, was started with Ghurye as the editor of the sociological series. The first publication of the series was his book on culture and society. So from research he kind of gradually shifted to publication. Now, another important and a very important milestone in terms of professionalization of sociology in India was the establishment of Indian Sociological Society. And the Indian Sociological Society is an all India association of all sociologists, scholars and researchers who kind of are engaged in regular conferences, publications and research work. So this is considered as the most important contribution of Ghurye to the institutionalization of sociology in India. And the ISS, that is the Indian Sociological Society, was registered in December 1951 in Bombay with 107 members, and today the membership has widely kind of increased say by a large number. Initially the society functioned regionally, though it had members from different parts of the country and was kind of considered as a national institution, but in the initial days it was more of less members of the Bombay University and were engaged in regional work. Ghurye controlled its operation and most of the members were from Bombay. One of the factors for dominance of Bombay school was the rivalry between Ghurye as sociologists as Lucknow and Calcutta. One of the major aim of starting the society was regular publication in the form of biannual bulletin, and the first bulletin of the Indian Sociological Society was published in 1952 by the name of Sociological Bulletin. Now this journal which is kind of considered as the most important journal with contribution from sociologists, research scholars, academicians from across India as well as from outside. So Ghurye was initiated this journal and he remained the editor and the president of the society till 1966, although after his retirement in 1959 Kapadia became the de facto editor, but yet kind of, even though he was not formally associated with the society and the journal, he contributed significantly to in terms of research and publication. The article published during Ghurye's tenure reflected his emphasis on social institutions and culture, and thus his approach extended through these journals. The fact that Bulletin was primarily Bombay Forum and a Ghurye's production is evident from the fact that the journal published the proceedings of the department annually. So, when we have looked into his contribution in terms of his setting of society and initiating the journal, we quickly look into his nationalist discourse, because it becomes very important to understand the contribution that Ghurye was doing at his time. And as we have already said, that the focus was on study of Indian institution, caste, family, religion, the concept of nation as a unified common culture, the focus on unity in diversity was all evitable in his work. You know, it was kind of part of the sociology of India in the initial days. And they become kind of, they were also closely associated with a lot of projects which was kind of related to the project of nation building in terms of understanding the unity, and with the notion of kind of bringing in the how we could create a nation which was more developed. So, if we look into the entire work of Ghurye in terms of his taking up the task of setting up the Department of Sociology, to the setting of in society and publication of the research, we see that he is no doubtly considered as the founder of sociology in India. Thank you.